Welcome back to my last section of this web scraping project where I extract data from the karriere.at and save the job postings to the database MySQL. And in this last section, I would like to match my CV to the job positions that I've saved in the database. Before we start coding, first things to consider for you. Make sure you have your CV as a PDF file. Then make sure you are importing the correct frameworks and libraries from Python. We're going to use tf-idf vectorizer and Cosine Similarity. What is Cosine Similarity and why do we use this? Cosine Similarity measures the similarity between two vectors by calculating the cosine of the angle between the two vectors. Cosine similarity is widely used in different data science and data engineering projects, and it is used in multiple applications such as finding similar documents, information retrieval, finding similar sequence to a DNA in bioinformatics, or detecting plagiarism. I have to confess that in order to run the script, I had to use the virtual environment because my current Python version is 3.13. For scikit-learn libraries, it's recommended to have Python 3.12. Therefore, I downgrade Python version using virtual environments. If you have 3.12, it's completely fine. You can continue coding. If you have higher than 3.12, please use the following commands in order to downgrade your Python. Otherwise, some functions may not work. Let's briefly introduce some functions that we're gonna create in this video. All these functions I'm creating in a new file called job matching. Even though some functions will be similar or even the same from our previous videos from the karriere file, still I want to separate those because web scraping the data and storing into the database might be one job, and the job matching is a different job. You don't want to run those two at the same time. So in this video, we're gonna create a function called extract text from PDF. Because our CV is in PDF, we have to extract the data somehow. And that's why we need PDF Plumber library. Then we're gonna extract skills from CV. This is the same function that we used in previous videos to extract skills from the description of each job. Therefore, I'm not gonna build again this function in this video. That's why I just copy pasted, but I called it differently. I called it extract skills from CV, but the logic behind is the same. I even use the same skill keywords. Then we're gonna fetch jobs from the database. So in this video, we're gonna use the select statement. In the previous, we were using the insert statement because we wanted to insert the data that we just web scraped. In this video, we assume that we already have enough data and we want, in order to compare the job descriptions and the job skills provided with our own skills and with our CV, we want to extract the data from the database. Next, we want to pre-process the text and find best matching job. In the end, we're going to use the main function in order to run the whole script and see the result. So let's get started with the first function, extract text from PDF. We're going to pass the PDF path as an argument. PDF path, in my case, is just cv.pdf. We want to store the full text in the full text variable. And now we're going to use the PDF Plumber. With PDF Plumber, we're going to open the path. We're going to open the file. As PDF. I have 2 pages, I think, in my CV, but sometimes the CV consists only of 1 page, but it doesn't matter. We're going to iterate through each page. Therefore, for page in PDF pages, we're going to extract the text and store it to the full text variable. And of course, we're going to return the full text. All right. As I've said, extract skills from CV. It's the same function as we used already in the previous video. That's why I just copy pasted. If you want to see the details, go back to my previous videos. And now we're going to continue with the fetch jobs from the database. I've already explained why we are establishing a MySQL connection and which parameters we need. So basically we need the host, the user, the password, and the database. I assume that you already have the database created in your server, MySQL server. My database is called Karriere, but you can call it whatever you want, but just don't forget to place the correct database name. The cursor function we need for executing the SQL script. And now let's move to the actual SQL script. So we need to call the cursor and the execute method. And now we want to place the select statement. We have select. I will just copy paste in order to save time. But what we need from the database is the following columns: title, company, description, skills, and URL. If you remember, we have a table that has all these columns. Now we need to say that we want to fetch all the data and store it into the jobs variable. Fetch all. Once we have the data, we want to save it to the data frame. That's why we have to convert job listings into a data frame. Let's store the data frame variable called job_df for data frame. Pandas data frame, and we want to pass the jobs and specify the columns for the panda data frame. So our columns are title, company, description, skills, and URL. So, and we're gonna return the data frame. I already explained what and why do we use the except section. Basically, if you have an error in the try section, the script will stop and you will see the error. That's how you can debug the script. Finally section we need in order to close the connection and the cursor. And finally section executes the script regardless if you have an error or not. Now let's pre-process the text. I will copy paste some of the variables that we've already mentioned in the previous videos. The ones I need is stored in the pre-processed text. So we will need the expressions for removing URLs. We want to remove the unwanted characters and extra spaces. I will modify this expression slightly because I know that my CV is in English. That's why I do not need those German characters. And the last one I need is the one for removing extra spaces and line breaks. And I want to return the text. All right, and the last function is to find the best matching job. Once we extract the text from our CV, we want to extract the skills from the CV. And since we have two different texts, the CV text and the skills from the CV, we want to pre-process CV text and combine it with extracted skills. Therefore, we want to call the function called preprocessed text that we've created here. And we're going to pass the CV text plus the CV skills. We extract the CV skills in the main function here. Next, we're going to optimize job descriptions. Using the Cosine Similarity, we want to first vectorize the text. But of course, we're going to store the preprocessed text in the variable, and it will be called CV text combine. Yeah, and now we can move on to the next step. So let's create the variable documents. And here we will use the description column, but from our data frame. Therefore, we will call job df description. And we're gonna apply preprocessed text to list. And now we're gonna add the CV text as well. Next step, we're gonna use the tf.idf for vectorization. Let's create a variable vectorizer and call the tf.idf vectorizer that we just imported. And we're gonna use fit transform to the documents. So let's create another variable tf.idf underscore matrix, and we need our vectorizer method fit transform, and we want to use the document, this one. Now let's compute Cosine similarity between our CV and all jobs. Cosine sim for similarity equals to Cosine similarity tf.idf matrix minus 1 tf.idf matrix to the minus 1. Now we're gonna find the job with the highest similarity. We just call the Cosine sim arg sort 0 minus 1, and we will store this in the variable best match index. And now the best match will be job data frame ilog, and let's call best match index. And we want to return the best match. So let's explain that in more details. First, we combine the text of the CV with the CV skills. Then the job description in our job data frame are processed using the same preprocessed text function to clean them. This ensures consistency in how text data is handled, making it easier to compare the CV against job description. Then we wanted to add the CV text to documents. This inclusion allows us to treat the CV as an additional document that can be compared against the job description. The tf.idf vectorizer converts the list of documents into a numerical format. tf.idf is a statistic that reflects how important a word is to a document in a collection. This vectorization allows the algorithm to work with numbers rather than raw text. This facilitates the computation of similarity. The Cosine similarity is calculated between the last row of the tf.idf matrix, the last row corresponds to the CV, and all previous rows, which correspond to the job descriptions. This step measures how similar the CV is to each job description based on the words and their importance. The result is a list of similarity scores. And the last step that we use is we are finding the best match. The Cosine similarity sort, so argument sort, sorts the Cosine similarity scores, returning the indices of the sorted values. The minus 1 retrieves the index of the highest score. It's the best match. And the job ilog uses this index to find the corresponding job listing in the original data frame. Why do we do this step? Because this identifies the job that is most similar to the CV based on the computed Cosine similarity. And we are returning the best match. In the main function, we want to call these functions that we've just created, like extract text from PDF, extract skills from CV, fetch jobs from database, and we want to iterate through each job and find the best matching job. And therefore, we are passing on the arguments such as CV text, CV skills, that later in the function this will be as one text, and job data frame. We want to print out what is the best job, the title, and which company offers this position. We want to pass the link so that we can easily find it on the website. We want to know and we want to print out the skills that are required for the job. And I also added the skills for my CV so that I can see which skills are required and which skills I have. Since it's the best option, the best matching job, the skills should be more or less the same. Before we execute the script, let's first insert some data. So for you to know, my CV is data engineer specific. I'm working as a data engineer. That's why I have some skills that related to data engineering. But in order to test our script, I want to web scrape some jobs that are not data engineering specific. For example, let's insert some data for software engineer. Let's also add some jobs posting for project manager. And let's add some jobs for UI designer. Once the script is run successfully, let's check the database if we do have different job postings inserted. I'm using MySQL Workbench, and let's refresh and run the select everything from the table again. And now I have different job postings. First, we inserted data engineering jobs. Then we've inserted software engineering and project management and some UI designers. Remember that we were using a list of skills that are suitable for data engineers. And if you look at the skills column and check the UI designers, you do not have a lot of skills here because we were concentrating on completely different skills. Once you know that you have different jobs, let's run the job matching script. As I mentioned before, I need to run the job matching script in the virtual environment because I'm using Python 3.13, and for this I need Python 3.12. I already created the virtual environment, so that's why I just need to activate it. Let's go to the terminal, activate the environment. Let's run the job matching Python script. And the best matching job for my CV is data engineer that was posted by Philip Morris in Austria. And these are the skills that are required for the job posting. And these are the skills that the script, that our function extracted from my CV. That's it for this project. I hope you like the project, and I hope you can follow the instructions and you can see the script in the GitHub, and probably you can use this project for your portfolio and it will help you to get the job you want. By the way, it's my first project that I've recorded and posted on YouTube. I would appreciate if you would leave some comments and feedback below, and if you have some ideas for new projects, for new web scraping projects, you are very welcome to write down in the comments. Thank you.